That's not what an eagle sounds like. That's not Box Hill. He's not Dutch. That's not a bridge, it's a viaduct. That's illegal. You'd never get an owl to do that. That's not German. You don't get sheep there. He's Scottish. He's Scottish. He's Scottish. It's not Edinburgh, that's Glasgow. That's not the Atlantic. That didn't happen. That's not Liverpool. She's Scottish. That's not a stork, that's a heron. Trains can't do that. That couldn't happen. Oh, that's magnesium sulfate. You never get conifers growing in chalky soil like that. That's not Aberdeen, that's Copenhagen. She's not French. Police aren't allowed to do that. That can't be a female snowy owl. They're not white. She's German. That type of shark only eats plankton. That's not Mandarin, it's Cantonese. You'd never get a mini in there. Well, that's poisonous. That's not Glasgow, it's Edinburgh. There's hate marmalade.
Good morning, sweet world, and welcome to the No Dunks podcast on the Athletic Network. It's Thursday, January 16th, 2025. I'm Jay Skeets here in the Classic Factory, and alongside me, as always, Tass Mellis.
Podcast listeners, this is for you.
Next to him, it's the bearded one, my top shot hot boy, Trey Kirby.
Heyo.
Heyo. And over yonder, he's going through it this morning thanks to equipment failing him. It's super producer JD.
I'm instruments only over here.
Wow.
Zero visibility.
Oh boy. So you thought it was the monitor that was crapping out. In the end, it might be your switcher.
Yeah.
And now you're doing this show blind, basically? Is that what you're telling us?
Yeah, I can't see what's coming next. So, you know.
Okay. So, hey, podcast listeners, this really is for you. This one. That says it every day, but this one, 100%. Thanks to everybody joining us live on YouTube, sticking through the delayed show here. We appreciate it. Hit the like button, subscribe. Do it for JD. He needs it today. He needs your support. And make sure you share the show. Podcast listeners, 5-star ratings and reviews. Well, I turn to the Southern lawyer. Would you tip your cap, good sir?
We got ourselves a trade.
Yeah. Oh, geez. We don't need that. No, we don't need this graphic.
Well, we have it. We might as well use it.
Okay. Yesterday, the Charlotte Hornets traded backup center Nick Richards and a second-round draft pick to the Phoenix Suns for forward Josh Okogie and 3 future second-round picks. So the Suns do something here, Tass.
They did.
And they get a big, because the one starting center that they had, he got the flu, then they moved him to the bench, and then they said, get the hell out of here. I'm talking about Yusuf Nurkic. So they go him in plum dog, they're going with a rookie, and maybe Nick Richards suddenly is their starting center, but they went and got him for Okogie and these second-round picks.
Yeah, it's a tiny trade, but they needed something. They needed a big.
Yeah.
It's a pretty simple job that Nick Richards will have with Phoenix. It's a DRD. Just dunk, rebound, and defend, my man. This team does not dunk. They take the fewest shots around the rim, and it would help if somebody goes around there and gives them a little bit of space. Because, yeah, Yusuf Nurkic doesn't dunk all that much. Nick Richards, double the amount of dunks that Nurkic has had this season. And Mason Plumlee is very similar to what Nick Richards will do, but Nick Richards is just far younger, and that's the important thing here. And then the other side, they do need help on the defensive end rebounding the ball. We've seen 2 games in a row here where they've been pounded on second chance points. Yeah. We saw Onyeka Okongwu of the Atlanta Hawks have 10 offensive rebounds, and the Charlotte Hornets, Nick Richards, old Charlotte Hornets, them scoring 26 second chance points. Very important stuff. He's going to also have to defend 1 through 5 a lot of the time. That's the problem with the Phoenix Suns, is their defense just overall. This guy's going to have to be all over the place. Him and Mason Plumlee, don't call me Miles. They're going to have the same job, I think. I mean, they're going to split the minutes at center. I don't know if Yusuf Nurkic is going to be part of this rotation again.
I don't think so.
It sure doesn't seem that way.
They're trying to trade him, just whether or not they can get anything in return for him, because he's got another, $19 million, I think, on his deal next season.
Yeah.
18 and then 19 next year.
And January 15th, Josh Okogie became eligible to be traded.
Right.
He got traded. That's who the Charlotte Hornets wanted, and they got some picks at the very least. I mean, it's a lot of picks.
Yeah. So Richards has been productive, TK, in his starts for Charlotte. He averaged 11 and 10, and this guy shoots a very high percentage. I mean, it's all around the rim. He is not stretching the floor.
Don't shoot it, dude.
Apparently, he's had over the last 4 seasons, Nick Richards has shot 65% from the field, which is 5th best in the NBA during that span. Because again, it's just all around there. Do you think he gets the start immediately for the Phoenix Suns, and you can see him at least contributing and helping this Suns team that we talked about has very little identity and could use at least a big to do the dirty work?
He'll probably start just because he's bigger than Oso Ighodaro and more athletic than Mason Plumlee, a one-time dunk contest participant. Easy to forget that one. But I think they shipped Mason Plumlee out of Charlotte because of Nick Richards once upon a time, right? Like, he was the backup. Became the backup for Plumlee behind Mark Williams. Will he help? No. I mean, this is Nick Richards. He's a backup center who's going to be starting for the Suns, but they needed something, and they needed to do something to make it seem like they're actually trying this season. They gave up basically 2 second-round picks in this one since the Hornets sent one back to the Suns as well. Maybe that Suns one turns into something eventually, right? It's in 2031. They'll probably be pretty bad by then since they have no picks. I don't know if it's the smartest move, honestly, to trade 2 second-round picks for a guy who's a backup center when you have basically nothing to trade, but the Suns had to do something. They've had a terrible season, and they're getting nothing from their center rotation, so this might be better.
Yeah, I wonder if this is a sign that they're going to be unable to convince Bradley Beal to waive that no-trade clause, and this is the only thing that they can do, so they say, we'll give up picks for him. This might be it.
Or if they can convince a team to take Nurkic to get another second-round pick back in that potential deal. Again, I don't know.
Don't you think they would have to add picks to trade Nurkic?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it's been that bad.
And he's got another year left on his deal.
Yeah, that's the thing.
So they get a physical 7-footer here in Nick Richards. This stat blew my mind. You were bringing up the second chance points like recently that they gave up to the Hawks and to the Hornets that involved Nick Richards. When Nurkic has been off the floor, the Suns' opponents have rebounded almost 32% of their misses. Almost 1 in 3 shots the opponent is grabbing when Nurk is not out there. That's an issue. So hopefully Nick Richards. I always get tongue-tied with his name. I don't know what it is. But Cody Hunt, he tweeted last night, Suns just went from the 30th best center rotation in the NBA to the 28th. Which made me laugh and might be true, and he put a sarcastic "let's go" on that. So before you got in here, Tass, TK were like, oh, that's funny, 28th. Maybe he's right though. Like, who has a worst center rotation in the NBA? We threw out the Pelicans. Maybe Missy's been great as a rook. Not a lot there.
How dare you do that to Daniel Tice? Oh. No, don't do that.
The Jazz, Kessler's had a bit of a bounce back, but it's Eubanks and it's pretty bleak. Yeah. The Sixers without Embiid, I joked.
Drummond has had a rough go this year.
Yeah. But anyway, the point is he's probably right, Cody, with that tweet.
It's not far off.
It improves them, but it's not much.
It does. Yeah. Their defensive rebounding is middle of the pack. They just need a guy to grab boards. Yeah. And their offensive rebounding, very bad. Again, don't go out in the mid-range. Your job is to roll, set picks, dunk it, dude. Literally, they just won't ask him to shoot the ball. It's pretty freaking simple. That's what Nick Richards has to do for this Phoenix Suns team because they lack an identity, and they just lack this simple stuff. They just need a body, that's for sure. He's born in Jamaica. I was just in Jamaica for Christmas holiday. No one was talking about Nick Richards. I was surprised by that. Why weren't people talking about this guy?
Nobody, unless you are a Hornets fan or you play fantasy basketball or you an absolute NBA sicko, you have no idea who Nick Richards is.
Yep.
You don't. And that's fine. Nor should you, really. Maybe you will now because he'll be maybe on some more nationally televised games. And if he comes in here and makes a difference, okay, people start talking about him. I don't think it's going to be the bump that we quite saw with Daniel Gafford going to the Mavs. I don't think it's going to that level. But like we all said, it's going to help. Probably. It should. Can't get much worse there for the Suns.
Can't get worse.
And
I
sort of feel happy for Nick Richards. This guy has been in Charlotte his entire NBA career, on pretty bad teams for the most part. So at least he goes to a team in the Western Conference that's struggling, yes, but is better than the Charlotte Hornets, is my point.
Upgrade from 14th to 11th.
Yeah. Any other thoughts here on the Suns Hornets deal? I mean, Josh Okogie is a good defender. I don't think he's going to be long-term for the Charlotte Hornets. It's all about the picks, I assume, in this move.
It's all about the picks. They're doing a good job of getting picks in. I think they're up 2 first-rounders and 8 second-rounders, including last year's trade deadline when P.J. Washington went out. Gordon Hayward went to the Thunder. They're getting picks in. They're completely in tear-down mode. It makes you think, are they going to move LaMelo eventually? They're just letting him shoot all the time. Maybe a pump-and-dump scheme now that they signed him to the big extension, and maybe they want to reorient themselves around Cooper Flagg. But, I mean, they traded their backup center and got some picks. Good.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, Mason Plumlee's just... He's older than I felt he was. Maybe
around forever.
He has been around for a long time. He just got a bit of a baby face.
Yeah.
He does. He looks like he can't grow a beard.
So it's surprising to me that he'll be 35 pretty soon. So that is old.
Wow, okay. I wouldn't have even thought he was that old.
No, it doesn't feel that way. And he was in a dunk contest once, but I guess that was friggin' eons ago. That was a long time.
Where was that
That was
one?
the Brooklyn one.
Brooklyn?
Yeah.
With
So-
Oladipo when he came out,
Yeah.
dressed in a tux. That one.
I think that's right. That is true.
I don't know why I remember that.
Didn't they have to like sing? He sang a song. Maybe?
Yeah, like a Sinatra or something.
Was it?
No,
or was it
New
a
York,
classic?
New York.
a
Yeah,
classic-
he did sing New
I think
York.
he did.
New
We
York.
sang New York. I was going to say
Yeah.
a classic man, but that wasn't him.
That was Aaron Gordon
That was Aaron
coming
Gordon,
out.
yeah.
Weird times for the dunk contest. And back to the Suns, like my final point on them, like we said, like, can you get anything in return for Nurkic? Good point from Trey. Do you have to attach more capital to get off that deal? We'll see. And then the other thing is, like, can you trade Grayson Allen? And you do have a future 2031 first round pick. I mean, that's really all you have left, is my point. Unless you get Bradley Beal to waive the no trade clause. Then maybe you got something. But even then, like,
Or trade their good guys.
or trade Durant.
and-
But yes.
It doesn't seem like that's what Matt Ishbia wants to
No,
do.
no.
But should they? Yes,
Hmm.
obviously.
All right, we'll leave it there for now. Let's move to some games. Crazy, entertaining, oddly games, and weird storylines and plays coming out of a lot of action from last night. Let's start with one that we watched on playback right to the end. It went to overtime. Jalen Brunson scored 38. Josh Hart, triple-double. Knicks beat the 76ers. No Joel Embiid. In OT. Knicks dodged a bit of a bullet here, I will say. And Maxey, despite sort of having a rough start, turned it on. And was really the only reason the Sixers had a chance to even win this game. He had that great steal on Brunson where he poked it from behind to then obviously get the goaltend, to get it into overtime. They came up short, but any takeaways from Knicks beating the Philadelphia 76ers?
Listen, the Philadelphia 76ers, they play hard. They really do. The Knicks could have blown out the Philadelphia 76ers with the way they were shooting the ball. They were hitting 53% of their shots, 43% of their threes, hit 3 more threes than Philly. All the Knicks who shot threes hit multiple threes. And the 76ers, as you said, no Joel Embiid in this one. Still went to OT, but Nick Nurse has these guys working. When we're talking about Nick Nurse and him potentially being on a hot seat for the Philadelphia 76ers, what are you going to get in a replacement? A coach that comes in and says, hey, Joel Embiid, can you play? Really just to get somebody to convince Joel Embiid to play, because he's got these guys working back-to-back nights. They played hard against OKC. Yes, they lost. And in this one, a good effort.
Yeah.
They've got guys up and down the roster. Jeff Downton banked home a 3. The night before, Justin Edwards banked home a 3. They just have these names that are going deep to help them out, because Brunson was friggin' awesome. I thought he set the tone for his team, even though, like, first possession, Oubre tried to push on a steal after Mikal Bridges missed a shot. Oubre pushed. Brunson, beautiful steal to set this thing going, and he got a 3 for Bridges. This team is just... It's been reeling a little bit. They're lost 5 of 7 coming into this game, and so they just needed Jalen to be their guy, and he was.
The Jeff Downton Jr. 3 that he banked in at the end of the third quarter, I think it was, heading into the fourth, that tied it up. He had the weirdest reaction to hitting a prayer 3. Like, he almost seemed upset.
He was sad.
Like, we were watching it on playback. He was
mad,
like
man.
rattled by it. It was very strange.
Paul
But
George came over for I'm throwing my arm around you. Are you okay, man?
Yeah, it's
I mean,
like,
you
hey,
just
man.
hit a basket.
points are points.
You're
man.
an NBA player. You hit a basket. You're sad. What's up?
Very, very strange. But Knicks dodged a bullet here. You know, they had that 9-game win streak in December, but you said a task. They were sort of struggling, had lost the 5 of the 7 heading into this game. And then meanwhile, the Sixers, you know, they won 10 of 13 games starting in late November, but then since then they've lost 7 of 9, including 4 of their 5 home games in 2025 here. So they remain in the 11th spot. The Bulls are right ahead of them still. Which
Can't catch them.
No, can't catch them. But I guess I was going to say a good win in the end. The Knicks sort of needed this W to right the ship a little bit, but it wasn't the most convincing. I saw a lot of Knicks fans not all that pleased with like how much it had to take from Brunson, and obviously another incredible, scrappy Josh Hart game, stuff like that, just to get across the finish line.
49 minutes for Josh Hart. His 5th triple-double of his career. Or
11th of his career.
11th of his career,
Yeah.
5th with the Knicks. They said he's only 3 away from tying their all-time record. Clyde Frazier had 8. That's
Whoa.
a tiny number in 2025, but I guess they haven't had like a Jokic or a Westbrook to just kind of rack them up.
Yeah.
But 17 rebounds I thought was huge from Josh Hart, playing basically as their rebounder without Karl Anthony Towns there. And Precious Achiuwa also picked up the slack.
Yep.
His defense
good.
was really good, especially in the fourth quarter and overtime. He had 6 rebounds in this one, 3 blocks. He had a steal as well. Did have a late goaltend, but when he was blocking all those shots, you're like, I'll live with that one a little bit. And Karl Anthony Towns, he wore an Eagles shirt in the first half, apparently sweated through it, and then said he had to change into a Knicks shirt. Said, hey, Twitter, sweat stains ain't it on ESPN. Had to pull another fit out. Anyways, go Birds.
Okay. Do you buy his reasoning here for switching? Because a lot of people obviously wearing the Eagles there in Philadelphia, but tons of Knicks fans in attendance too.
A lot of Knicks fans.
And Brunson was asked about it. He loved it. He's a Philly guy, but he said it was because he was sweating through it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, why would you say I'm so sweaty that I sweat through my shirt if it wasn't true?
Yeah, I agree.
And it was bright green. I think it would show the pit stains.
A very good point. It was also a thick shirt. So it could be hot. Period.
Yeah.
It was thick.
It's not possible he meant sweat stains from his teammates.
Oh, like hugs? Maybe.
Chucking it out there. I don't know.
Maybe they're so mad he was wearing an Eagles shirt that they're like coming up and giving him these nasty hugs, so you have to take it off.
Yeah.
Maybe so.
It's possible.
Just a note on Josh Hart playing 49 minutes. Knicks have top 2 in terms of minutes played in the NBA. Mikal Bridges, number 1. Josh Hart, number 2. And on the broadcast, they said no NBA team has had the top 3 in NBA minutes played in a season ever.
Huh.
And they don't right now.
Could they?
It's not too far off. OG Anunoby is basically just over a minute beneath number 3 Tyrese Maxey. So it could happen to the New York Knicks. And that's why Tibbs was smiling. Oh, yeah. See,
They are top 3 in total minutes played, and then Brunson is number 5.
Jeez.
Yeah. That's so they said we are top 3. I guess it might be total minutes played rather than minutes per game that they're going by. But I guess that's why Tibbs was smiling in the first 15 seconds. I've never seen a Tibbs smile in a game, period. But he was smiling. He's like, yes, I get to play all my guys a lot. And that is a slight worry for this Knicks team. Top heavy. We're playing a lot of guys. But their bench is coming through, as you said, Achiuwa. I think Cam Payne has been awesome recently for this team. So they do have guys producing.
All right, let's move on to Keaton Wallace. Who? Some of you might be saying Keaton Wallace and his, let's call him the College Park Skyhawks, beat the Bulls 110-94. Unbelievable. TK. Oh, look at these guys.
We both got hats.
They both just threw on their College Park Skyhawks hats. Amazing stuff
It's the
here.
second time I've worn it. I feel so good about that.
Wow.
I wore it at a Skyhawks game last week. I get to wear it again.
Look at that's great on you. So yeah, Keaton Wallace, obviously a call up from the G League team, and Daquan Plowden in his first NBA game scored 19 points. Again, being called up from the Skyhawks. He finished 7-8 from the floor. He hit 5 threes. We just saw these two guys on Sunday here in Atlanta. We called the game, the Skyhawks versus the Motor City Cruise. Both these guys played. Plowden had an incredible dunk task. You talked to him at halftime, going into the locker room. Oh, tell me about that windmill. He's all smiles. And then they get the call up, and they go and beat the Bulls. They were like the 2 best players in this game, and I'm not exaggerating.
Oh, Keaton Wallace was the best player on the floor.
Yeah.
They were challenging him to shoot threes, but then he started making all of his threes, and the Bulls are like, yeah, no, we're not changing our strategy here. We're just going to keep letting you shoot. Eventually you'll miss, right? You too, Daquan Plowden, eventually you'll miss, right? He did finally miss after he made his first 7 shots, finished 7 for 8, but when you are a team that is so shorthanded, like the Hawks were, that you're calling up 3 guys from the Skyhawks, Dominic Barlow was on the bench, never got in, but you just play very free, and you could tell that they were playing free, and the Bulls were whatever the opposite of locked in is. I told you, it's not a surprise when the Bulls win any game or when they lose any game. They play to the level of their competition. That means they're good against the good teams, and they might hit some threes, and the bad teams, they just do not care.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what it was.
Always play to the level of their competition, for sure.
Yeah. The Skyhawks. Literally, they're the Skyhawks to me after last night. They shot 13 of 43 from 3. That's 30%. And they outshot the Bulls, who were 6 for 27, 22%. And College Park forced 20 turnovers in this one against Windy City. Eat your heart out, Andre Ingram.
Yeah. I guess he tied up. Didn't Ingram score 19?
Did he?
His debut?
I don't know.
I think so.
He's
right around there.
Now on the Mount Rushmore of G League call-ups, I've got
Andre Ingram.
Andre Ingram, Sundiata Gates,
Yes.
Daquan Plowden, And there's probably another guy who did something sweet.
Sure.
You tell me who.
Well, listen to this. According to Statitudes, Plowden is just the 5th player in league history to make at least 5 threes in his first career NBA game. Can you name any of the other 4 guys that did it in their first NBA game ever? I'm not talking about G League call-ups.
Not G League call-ups.
No. In fact, I assume none of these guys were G League call-ups, but...
So there's some big name players. I mean,
guys you know.
Drafted
but let me
players
give
or
them to
something?
you because you'll never guess them. Donyell Marshall in his first game ever?
going
This
way
guy has
back.
ridiculous
I
three-point records,
know.
man.
It's so weird. I thought the exact same thing. Jake Layman did it. Wow. PJ Washington. I vaguely remember that.
I do remember that one.
And
yeah.
then I don't remember Chris Duarte doing it. But now you can add Daquan Plowden. Mr. Plowden, that's his name. That name again is Mr. Plowden. I wish I did that on the Skyhawks call. Could never get it out. So I'm glad I got it out here.
We're glad you got it in. You mentioned last night. I can't wait to say that on the show.
It's too good with snow we had here in Atlanta too.
Yeah.
Come on, it's perfect.
I love that guy.
Oh, man, what a joke the Bulls are. We have the receipts, by the way, in our Slack channel. I think Trey even tweeted it out. Once we saw, because this was our pick'em game, I went with you. I backed the Bulls. Oh, my God. Who knows with this team, right? And then we saw the list of all the Hawks missing the game. Immediately, we were like, well, that's a Hawks win.
Oh, yeah.
And sure enough, they won pretty comfortably.
Oh, yeah. Just get all the lowlights. They allowed so many boards bounce on the floor. On the defensive glass, they literally let misses hit the floor because they weren't getting after it.
It's because they're boxing out so good.
Yeah, right. It was unfortunate. Yeah, Keaton Wallace is a baller. He's played 17 games with the big club this year. He's played.
solid.
And Kobe Buffkin is injured for the big club. He's out for the entire season, so Keaton Wallace could be their backup point guard in minutes. That's for sure. The night before, he hit a Skyhawks game winner, so the guy can play. There's no doubt about that. As far as Daquan Plowden goes, it was great to interview him about his big windmill, and I asked him, why were you looking at the video board? Because he dunked it, and then he looked at the video board. He goes, I wanted to see how high I jumped. He's a very cool guy. He's a lot younger than DeAndre Ingram.
We talk about like we know him.
Yeah, I know him. I do know him. I talked to him this close. I was wearing. I put on a tuxedo for him. Not a tuxedo. A bow tie for him, just for that guy. But he's like Andre Ingram. Andre Ingram's way older. This guy is 26. This guy can play a little bit. He's going to play some. He's been in the G League, but he could get called up for sure. And
hey, look, the no dunks bump is real when it comes to the Skyhawks. Who was it last season? Vít Krejci?
Oh, yeah.
That was our guy. We saw him in person. Yeah, Kobe Buffkin to some extent, too. We saw him have a 40-point game when we were on the call. Now it's these two guys. It's Wallace and it's Plowden. These are our guys, man.
I love it.
Bet for these guys.
I always love to see a guy who went to Bowling Green University as well.
Sure.
And who are the NBA players that went to Bowling Green?
They said somebody.
Oh,
Antonio Daniels.
That's a good one.
They said it on the broadcast.
That's the biggest current one. There is also another current one, which is
there?
surprising.
Tumani Kamara. I don't know where you
Good guess.
I mean,
I don't know how you'll get it.
I'm never going to get it. I found out like last year where Bowling Green was. I had no
close.
idea for the rest, like my entire life.
Surprisingly, yeah, I'm
Like,
with
you didn't know, right?
No,
It's like-
Kentucky. That's weird.
I thought it was in Ohio. I was
Seems like it would be in Ohio.
Rashawn Holmes went there. And Nate Thurmond went there. Hall of Famer Nate Thurmond.
Oh, and Bowling Green. There you go. Yep. Do you think Ryan Sutton tried to get into Bowling Green?
Man, you're just looking. You're looking for it. You're not plowing now. Now you're digging for any joke you got. Ryan Sutton's a bowler, so you got to mention
bowling.
bowling.
I have to mention him.
Yeah,
I love
he
Sutton.
didn't go there.
No, he should have. Okay,
Maybe Bowling Green's in Canada. Who knows?
It'll be a part of America soon. All right, a couple other games to touch on. John Morant had 21 and 12. Okay, hats off, boys.
Good loss for the Bulls, man.
What number is 37 on the College Park Skyhawks?
I can't believe you don't know that.
I mean, it's
Collie.
That's college.
It's the mascot.
That's
wow.
right. I got a mascot shirt on.
Oh.
Sorry, JD. Sorry about the switcher.
Okay, there you go. I was looking at it the whole time, like, it's okay. Vít Krejci, I think, is 27.
Yeah, that's right.
So I'm like, yeah, who's 37? Anyway.
Collie might be more popular than Harry the Hawk here in the city.
No way.
I'm just
Collie
saying.
is jacked.
Collie's jacked. He's flexing all the time. He's on the flex cam.
All he does is hit the gym, though. That's it. That's all he's
GTL.
got. He's got muscles. Harry has personality, charisma. He does a lot more with his beak than Collie does, too.
Way more beak stuff.
Come on, I can't believe he said that. All right, John Morant had 21 and 12, carried the Grizzlies past Wembanyama and the Spurs 129-115. Let's just show the highlight that wasn't. Tass, this used to be a segment you used to do on the starters. And man, Ja Morant dunking on Wemby after the whistle.
I don't think there's ever been a highlight that wasn't a highlight that never actually happened that's that popular. I mean, that is the highlight of the game. Period.
Yes.
That's what we'll remember. And Wemby went to go block it as well, because there's Spurs fans saying, oh, it was after the whistle. He wasn't trying to block it. He was trying to block it. I mean, he went up as high as he possibly could. And this freak, I mean, it's easy to forget what Ja Morant was able to do coming into the season because of how he was injured last year. And we have seen highlight after highlight after highlight of what he's doing.
And then he said, I'm going to stop dunking.
Yeah, he did.
You lied to me.
He's special, dude.
That's one of the greatest highlight that wasn't of all time, for sure.
Oh, absolutely. This happened, and then I went and started watching, I guess, the Timberwolves-Warriors game, and it was at halftime, and they showed this 15 times. They were talking about it like it counted.
Yeah, I know.
And, you know, as time goes on, it'll probably count in our minds.
Ooh, right.
Unless somebody gets Wembanyama like this again. Are we going to see a better dunk on Victor Wembanyama? Maybe over time. Because, I mean, Zach Edey had one that counted in this game. They weren't running that one back 100 times,
No,
you know?
no.
But in my mind, that whistle was because it was an and one, not because he got fouled on the perimeter.
You make a good point. Like, we're going to see, like, the Ja Morant compilations moving forward of all his greatest dunks, and this will probably be slipped in there, and as time goes on, you're going to forget that it actually didn't count because it came after the whistle. They attacked Wembanyama all game.
Yeah.
It was Ja Morant, not just this play, a couple other ones where he went at him, hit floaters, and then, like you said, big Zach Edey, dunking on him once, having a hook shot on him the other time. Now, Wembanyama had 8 blocks, all in the first half. He had us on playback looking up who has the record for most blocks in a game. Who is it against? Like Elmore Smith? Is that his name?
Elmore Smith?
Yeah, 17, way back in the day. It's been a long time since somebody even had like more than 12. So Wembanyama was on pace to set that, but obviously didn't get one there in the second half and instead got posterized after the whistle.
And what will be overlooked is that Zach Edey also dunked on Wemby.
Yeah, well, that's what he said.
It's not as sexy. Yeah.
No, definitely Zach Edey dunking is not as sexy as Ja Morant dunking.
No, but it was fun to see Wemby go at Triple J and Jaren Jackson Jr. That battle was pretty good, and Wemby had a bad night shooting the ball. Jaren Jackson Jr. was a damn good defender, played him well, and the opposite happened as well. I mean, Wemby did a great job against Jaren Jackson Jr., but what we will remember is Mr. Morant. That whistle happened like just before, too. I mean, it was a foul on the perimeter, but it was like they were lining each other up, and then the whistle happened. Like, who cares about the whistle? Just swallow it for a second, and let's just watch this. That was just art.
It was literally just them two.
Yeah, it was like the entire side of the floor.
Like, let's see what this is like.
It's like everybody is like, oh, this should be an event at All-Star Weekend. Get rid of the dunk contest, or at least fix the dunk contest. Have blockers out there. Remember we used to been saying this for like 20 years. Like, how cool would it be if you tried to dunk on Mutombo, rest in peace, or Ben Wallace? Like, let's see that. This is sort of what it was. Like, it was a pretty good example of what that would actually look like. Now, guys would get injured, I'm sure, trying to dunk on one another. But, it was a little moment in time there.
I got 2 last things. First of all, Grizzlies, they get my League Pass Team of the Week award. Because they have played just awesome games this week. Rockets, Wolves, Rockets, and then this one against the Spurs. And we got to give a big shout out to Desmond Bane. This guy's playing pretty well right now. 21 points in this one, 8 of 13 field goals. Had a really slow start to the season. Through November, 13 games. 14 points per game, shooting 41% from the field. In December, got up to 19 a game, 52 from the field, 41 from 3. And in 6 games here in January, he's up to 21 a game, shooting 56 from the field, 41 from 3. Definitely the team has changed with Ja Morant coming back, Edey playing. Santi Aldama's a bigger part of this team than he was. Marcus Smart, he never plays, but he's around. I think it's kind of been tough for Bane to figure out where he fits in with Jaren Jackson Jr. being a lot more of the offense as well. But if he's able to score 20 a game, shooting 50, 40, that's going to be awesome for the Grizzlies. They need somebody on the perimeter who does it from the outside. And Bane is a lot better at driving now than he was when he came in. So if he's hitting threes and getting to the rim, good stuff. The Grizzlies can have a decent offense.
One other very funny moment from this game, I'm sure you guys saw it. A lot of people out there on the stream team are listening to the podcast. Just illustrating Chris Paul's sort of basketball IQ, but in a very funny way. Zach Edey fell to the floor, had the ball, so he can't get up, obviously. He can't go go anywhere. So, hey, you put your hands on the ball. Obviously, get a jump ball situation. But Chris Paul is like, immediately like, well, why would I wrap him up and then try to have a jump ball with Zach Edey? Reaches across, grabs Wembanyama's arm and hand, and puts it on the ball. Like, you tie him up to try and get the jump ball. So damn funny and legit, like, wow, in like immediate second thinking to do that is pretty next level thinking.
He's smart. It looked to me like when DeAndre Jordan grabbed that offensive rebound, there was like 1.2 seconds left, and Chris Paul's like, shoot it. And DeAndre Jordan's just like laughing. He just processes things very quickly. I also like the Chris Paul moment where Scottie Pippen Jr. picked him at half court, just picked his pocket, took it down for the layup. They try and inbound it to Chris Paul, and Scottie Pippen Jr. took a charge on Chris Paul. I was like, you just got Chris Paul.
You got Chris Paul.
100%.
That's the teacher and the student right there.
All right, let's move on to a controversial ending between the Pels and Mavs. So 15 seconds remaining. Dallas trailing 117-116. PJ Washington got a steal near midcourt, and the Mavs pushed the ball in transition. Dinwiddie received the pass. You can roll it in here, JD. Goes up for a potential go-ahead layup, and as Trey Murphy III trailed, goes for the block, and they say, he got it. That's a block. Play on. But you're going to see the replay here. That ball hit the glass before Murphy touched it. Should be a goaltend. Now, a lot of times, Tass, the officials will call it, right? They'll say goaltend so they can go and look at it and confirm whether or not it was. They didn't here, and that's the issue. Mavs, out of timeouts, couldn't challenge, and so that was pretty rough way to lose a game for the Dallas Mavericks. I'm not happy about that.
You're not happy about that?
No, I said they're not happy.
Oh, they're
about
not.
that,
I thought you said I'm not happy
I
about
couldn't
that.
give a shit whether they lost this game. But I don't care at all.
It could have been a good win for them without Kyrie and Luka. Kyrie just came back. Then he has to sit in this one. And then Spencer Dinwiddie did a very smart thing and literally just put his hand almost on the glass. He knew, I just got to get it to the glass as fast as possible. Now, watching it live, I thought, what a beautiful block. I had no idea. Then watching the replay, of course it hit the glass. He literally did it on purpose to make sure that the air quotes, ball hit the glass so it would be called. That didn't happen. And then you look at it, you think, I don't think it was going in anyway. But it doesn't matter. It hit the glass. That's the call. Trey Murphy, beautiful block. This was the biggest win for the Pelicans this season. They've won 3 in 4, which doesn't happen in New Orleans this season. It was a really great finish for this game. That was their biggest win. So it was. I don't know. I don't feel too bad in that situation, just because it was just a big win for that team.
What's weird though is, like, again, we talked about it in the Sixers-Knicks game. That the maxi to get it to overtime, it was called a goaltend, and they called it. Like, the officials like, oh, okay, let's go review it. Let's make sure. And like in real time, we were like, it was an obvious goaltend, guys. Like, what are you doing? But again, they usually call it just to sort of save their asses. I'm talking about they as the officials, because it's like, well, if we call it, then we can look at it and make sure we get it right. So that was like a little surprising that they didn't when they should have, because if you watch the replay, it's obvious it is a goaltend, whether or not it goes in. But Dinwiddie says, like, I've been making money my whole career doing that.
I've been making Bitcoin my whole career.
Yeah, this is my whole thing. I just put it on the glass, whether it's going to go in or not, because I know the guy's going to try and block it, and I'm going to get the goaltend. And yeah, they did. They should have called it, is the point.
I guess they don't call it because Trey Murphy came out of nowhere to make that block. And so I think they were all impressed. Wow. that was a very, very great effort by Trey Murphy III. Maybe they were just surprised that a guy came out of nowhere. And it looked clean live, but obviously not close.
Any thoughts on this game? It was a wild ending. There was a lot going on there. Even like we showed you there, the steal to go the other way.
Yeah, they played it perfectly. Dallas played it perfectly to actually get the steal without fouling, because I feel like the Pelicans inbounded with probably 13 seconds left or something like that. They got the trap. PJ Washington knocks it out. They go the other way. No need for a timeout. Got a layup that should have gave him a chance to win the game at the very least. So it, to me, looked like an obvious call in real time. Like, I thought it was a layup that was going to go in. So then the fact that they didn't call it, especially having just watched Sixers versus Knicks where they did the same thing, very weird. But also, we don't need any reviews. So what's supposed to happen there? Like, you're supposed to call it and go for an instant review off the biggest play of the game.
Right.
That really takes the wind out of the sails. But you know it's bad when the NBA doesn't put up a wild ending on YouTube. They had to delete their post about this on Twitter as well because they got community noted.
Because they called it a block.
They
What
said
a
it
block!
was an emphatic stuff off the backboard, which is true. But it was also a goaltend,
Right.
majorly.
I immediately thought that too. I was like, how are they gonna handle this one on the NBA YouTube page? What are they gonna
Nothing
say
happened.
for the caption of the video? Yeah, don't even put it up. Other games last night, I'm gonna split them into the Eastern Conference wins and the Western Conference wins. RJ Barrett starred as the Raptors beat the Celtics 110-97. They snapped a 10-game losing streak against the Celtics. Been a while since they had beaten them. Lillard scored 30 as the Bucks rolled over the Magic. And Mark Williams, he's got no Nick Richards breathing down his neck anymore. He goes for a career-high 31 points as the Hornets beat the Jazz 117-112. Any thoughts on any of those Eastern Conference W's?
You guys have any concern about the Celtics right now? They're losing to bad teams. They lost to the Bulls. They lost to the Sixers. They lost to the Raptors. That's all. I'm pretty sure with Kristaps Porzingis in the lineup, they're only 9-8 in the 17 games since he has returned. Their three-point shooting in the month of January, Boston shooting 33%. That's not good. Opponents shooting 40%. That is very good. And it's basically the starters who are playing poorly. Drew Holiday, 31 from 3 in January. Tatum, 31. Derek White, 28. Jaylen Brown, a miserable 20 from 3. So I don't know if it's something to actually be worried about. Like we saw the Celtics last season, they lost back-to-back games to the Hawks when the Hawks were injured. I don't even think they had Trae Young at that point. It was DeJounte Murray carrying the team. He scored 40 on 40 shots, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
They obviously went on and dominated the playoffs, won the championship without Porzingis playing the majority of the playoffs. So it didn't actually matter. But the Eastern Conference seems better. You know, the Cavs are way, way ahead of the Celtics right now. So I think they got to be a little bit worried. Surely they'll shoot better going forward just because, you know, they'll figure out exactly how they're going to be defended and that kind of stuff. But opponents shooting 40% is bad. I'm not as worried about the offense as I would be about the defense.
How dare you? They're losing against bad teams.
Yeah.
Did you see the Toronto Raptors last night? I'm not so worried about the Boston Celtics. I mean, they are on pace for like 56 wins. It smells like a championship team that's come into this season playing well to start, and they have this lull, and
They're just going through the motions.
Yeah, I think it's important that they finish second in the Eastern Conference. That's the scary part. The Knicks aren't too far back, only a couple games back, so that's the scary part for them. But they just weren't ready for this team that was ready to move it. They were passing so well, 35 assists on 45 baskets. They weren't ready for that offense. They just weren't. They weren't ready to play that hard because they were really moving it extremely well. Shout out to all the guys out there that were doing it. Like RJ Barrett, incredibly efficient game. But even Scotty Barnes, not a great stat line, but he was guarding really well against Tatum, Brown. They were all guarding Tatum and Brown, and Derek White, who's gone extremely cold the last couple months. They were doing it. They're 10-31, on pace for 20 wins.
Was it the Raptors' best win of the season? Probably.
Yeah.
Again, snapping the streak against a really good team who's like could use a W. Yeah, probably was at home in front of the home crowd. I wanted to make this note just about the Bucks steamrolling the Magic. The other day I did point out, sort of made fun of them a little bit, the Bucks being 0-8 versus the top 3 teams in the Eastern Conference, Cavs, Celtics, Knicks. Frank Madden, who covers the Bucks, did point out they are 12-2 against all other 500-plus teams, including 9-1 against the other East teams above 500, which include, of course, the Magic last night. So struggling against the top 3, but doing really, really well against the other, quote-unquote, good teams in their conference and in the league. So fair point, Frank. Duly noted. And they just crushed them. Lillard was hot to start, and him and Giannis did enough to take care of the Magic. The Western Conference wins, 4 of them for you. Green and Şengün helped the Rockets beat the shorthanded Nuggets 128-108. Warriors fended off the Wolves 116-115. Curry had 31 points. They're back to 500. Hachimura and AD helped the Lakers end a little 3-game skid. They got the 117-108 win over the Heat. And the Clippers routed the Nets 126-67 for the largest margin of victory in team history. 126-67 Clips over Nets. But do you have any takeaways from the Western Conference wins, TK?
Well, I mean, 126-67 is crazy. This game was tied after the first quarter, 21-21. Can you believe that? They lost the last 3 quarters by what? Nearly 60 points, 59 points. Tyrese Martin coming in at a minus 56, worst in the league this season. Second is his teammate in this game, Noah Clowney, minus 44. Bilal Coulibaly earlier this year had a minus 44, not the worst ever though. Scoot Henderson, minus 58.
Still has it.
Last season, 67 points, obviously the fewest this year, but Kawhi Leonard played. 23 points in 24 minutes. Jumper was money. Looked like mostly mid-rangers. Looked like an easy game for him.
Yeah.
But he played.
LA's largest lead was 64 points midway through the fourth, and that was despite Ty Lue pulling his starters like late in the third quarter because it was garbage time early in this one.
One starter that they've changed coming into this game, they pulled Chris Dunn from the starting lineup, and now it's Kawhi Leonard bringing the ball up a lot of the time. We watched him actually play point guard, sort of. And now they have their starting lineup, which they would play in the playoffs. It's James Harden, Norman Powell, Kawhi Leonard, Derek Jones Jr., who helped the Mavs get to the finals last year, and Ivica Zubac. They kind of look like their team. We'll see if Kawhi Leonard plays basketball the rest of the season. But other stuff, I thought the fact that Jalen Green dunked on Dario Saric's head, and that was just totally overlooked because of John Morant.
Yeah,
that
it was actually the
nice.
dunk of the night, the official dunk of the night,
Yeah.
according to Dunk Score. It was huge.
It was sexy. It was a great. He lost him, and then the cockback, huge dunk, as he usually does. He tried to give it to Zach Edey earlier this week. He tries to dunk on people. And on the other side, Christian Brown had a great dunk as well. That was on Cam Whitmore. That was pretty as well. So good dunks there. I was surprised to see. This was a trap game for the Rockets, potentially, with no Jokic, no Aaron Gordon.
Yeah, true.
And the Nuggets are 8-0 on the second night of back-to-backs coming into this game. I was surprised by that. Now they're 8-1. I think the Miami Heat, they needed Jimmy Butler watching them in the fourth quarter.
Well, we're going to find out what happens there.
Yeah, I cannot wait. Yeah, because Tyler Hero was great to start. He got a little colder in the second half, but Bam Adebayo just wasn't there. I mean, he was playing well. He was trying to play well on Anthony Davis defensively, but he had 7 shot attempts in this game. Their second highest score was Haywood Highsmith with 11 points. That ain't good enough. They literally needed, as the Lakers picked up their defense in the second half, they needed somebody to finish the game. They needed Jimmy. What is going to happen? That is
suspension is over,
that is
but Chris Haynes and his briefs telling us they might change it, I guess, is what he was saying in terms of how they delegate his suspension or elongate it, whatever.
Just let's have a longer suspension. That's what it looks like. How can you let him come back if he's just going to come back for a couple games? I mean, it's really weird.
I don't think he's going to play. I really don't.
Weird
But it's
one.
a bit of a, it's a staring contest here between Pat Riley and obviously Jimmy Butler in his camp. Like, who blinks first? Because those are both some stubborn-ass dudes.
Oh, yeah.
So, buckle up here, I guess.
I did see that the Miami Heat are bringing back their Vice uniforms. They're going to be wearing them instead of, I think, their actual white uniforms, and they used the picture of Jimmy Butler wearing the uniform.
Interesting.
It was like Hero, Bam, Jimmy, and I don't know who the other guy was. I forget at this point, but he was definitely featured.
Yeah, you got to get rid of the inventory.
Interesting.
Quickly.
Interesting.
Those jerseys are
Maybe that's
50%
it.
off,
Maybe
I'm
that's
sure.
it.
Maybe.
It was interesting to see the Golden State Warriors, a team that's rumored to want to, blow it up. They had some fight in them last night to give it to the Wolves in the first quarter without Draymond Green and a bunch of other guys. They fought, and they got into a little bit of a fight themselves. There was
I saw that.
Yeah, Gary Payton II and
Buddy Hield
going at it. Dennis Schroeder came in and was peacemaker and took them aside and let's talk it out. They were just fighting about where they were supposed to be on the floor.
I've never seen Gary Payton II sort of that animated.
No, he was
that
mad.
angry. He was pissed off with Buddy Hield. You know what the hell we're doing out here? You don't know where to go. And then you're right. Yeah, Schroeder pulling them both aside. You guys are going to make up right now. Talk out your differences.
Yeah, so it seems like they're a team. Even though they could use some offensive help, that is for sure. There's all this talk that Steph, wants them to blow it up, but then this aftermath here where he says, let's play it by ear
crazy.
here.
Let's not go trading all over.
So that part's interesting. Although the Wolves, they stink coming out of the gate. They do look a lot better with Dante DiVincenzo. They're now 4-2 with Dante DiVincenzo in the starting lineup. They lost a game to the Grizzlies where they shot 57%. What up with that? That was a close game. But this one was just a bad start. Yeah. Even though Dante's cooking. 28 points for him, 6 threes for him. He's had 19 threes over his last 4 games. That's the guy that Ant needs beside him, but they just can't get to stinky starts like that. Was stinky.
I think Anthony Edwards said post-game, our starters are terrible.
Yeah.
He's like, we have no energy when we come out. They were down 34-12. They did a good job to get back in this game, but putting themselves down like that in the first quarter meant that they had to play perfectly down the stretch, and they didn't. Dante DiVincenzo fouled Buddy Hield on a three-pointer with 3.5 minutes left. Anthony Edwards completely lost Curry for a three-pointer with 2.5 minutes left. Then Naz Reid, once again, loses Curry for a three-pointer with 50 seconds left. That's the one where he's yelling at the fans. And then Andrew Wiggins grabbed an offensive rebound off Gary Payton's missed free throws with 6 seconds left. Like, if they make any of those 4 plays, they win this game. But the Timberwolves just aren't locked in. They have no attention to detail right now. They think they're just going to be able to coast through wins. Julius Randle was benched for the fourth quarter of this game. They were going with Naz Reid. People tell you that's going to work better. It doesn't. He doesn't play defense, and you can see it here. So I just don't think they have the mix right. They'll win some games. They might get a good matchup in the playoffs, but I think this has been a disappointing season for Minnesota, and it doesn't really... I mean, DiVincenzo starting has definitely helped. I thought he was their best player last night, hitting threes and actually helping on the glass, but the rebounding is so bad. Like, Gobert doesn't hardly rebound anymore compared to where he used to be. Randall's not the same rebounder that Towns is. They have to play perfectly, and they're just not capable of it right now. That's a disappointing loss.
Yeah. Well, let's move from the games last night to some NBA trivia. Who wants some trivia?
These guys.
Yeah, these guys do, I think.
We love it.
Maybe you do, watching or listening. Now, there's a theme to today's trivia, guys. Next week, JD and I are headed to France to cover the 2025 NBA Paris Games. We're obviously pretty excited about this. If you have any food, drink, must-see recommendations, let us know in the comments. Tweet at us. We're going to be there Wednesday through Sunday for both NBA games. They're playing 2 games over there between the same teams.
Okay.
But we got the Pacers and Spurs. But I know you guys are sickos. So to get like in the spirit of heading over to Paris, I have some trivia questions about those NBA Paris games. First question. Yeah, these are not going to be easy, but you guys are the sickos of sickos. So I think, I'll give you some hints too if you get a little stumped. All right, first one is, what year was the first NBA regular season game held in France?
1997.
No, it's much, much more current than that. Regular season game.
Oh, regular
not
season.
Not preseason games.
I was like, I know the Bulls went to Paris. I saw Michael Jordan wearing a beret.
Yeah, so much more current.
2013.
No, even more current. Yeah, it's a lot like. Go ahead.
It's. I don't think it's like 2020 or 2021.
It's 2020.
Yeah.
January 24th, 2020 was the first regular season game in Paris. Okay, you got there. All right, this one's fun. Who was the first French NBA player to score in the Paris games?
Killian Hayes.
That is a great guess. It's incorrect, but a hell of a guess that you named one of the French guys that actually played in one of these games. Yep. But no, it was the game prior. And I'll give you the teams if you want.
Was it Nick Batum?
Yeah. Well done. Well done.
He's a French. And he's played there before. That's all I remembered.
So Batum scored 5 points for the Hornets in 2020. And what's funny about that game when you think about it is when the NBA picked the Hornets to play the Bucks in that game is when they had Tony Parker on the roster. And then they pick the game in March, and then the summer happens, and Tony Parker retires, and so the Hornets still got to go. And yeah, they did have Batum. He was the first one to score in a regular season game in the Paris games. All right, good stuff. All right, who scored a season high and Paris record 45 points last season?
Last season.
Yeah.
Oh, that was it was Nets Cavs.
Okay.
Was it Cam Thomas? No. Who was it?
I mean, don't overthink it. You nailed the teams.
Donovan Mitchell.
Good job.
Oh, it was Donovan.
Yeah. How easily we forget it. I mean, I'm with you guys. I was like, oh yeah, he scored 45. I think it tied his season high in the end. I think he had another 45-point game. After the game, he said, quote, "I'd love to come back and play in the Olympics." He was trying to call a shot there. It's like, I'm awesome in France. You should bring me, but I didn't. All right, good stuff. Next one. Which 2-time All-Star with a French-sounding surname once scored 30 points in Paris?
Wait, say it again.
Which 2-time All-Star? So I'm giving you the little NBA tip there, or hint. With a French-sounding surname once scored 30 points in Paris.
Zach LaVine?
Well done. Zach LaVine said his great-grandfather was French, and he said, after the game, quote, maybe the air up here was good for me. I love all these guys having good games over there saying, something about playing here.
I like it.
Zach LaVine. Thought you might go with Karis LeVert.
Gary LaVine.
All right. Which former NBA dunk champ had 4 highlight reel dunks in his Paris game?
NBA dunk champ, 4 highlight reel.
Yeah,
Donovan Mitchell?
No, it's a good guess. Good guess.
Okay, other dunk champs.
I can.
Derrick Jones Jr.?
Attaboy, Mellis.
Yeah,
Derrick Jones Jr. He had 3 oops in that game. Bulls played the Pistons in 2023. Then he had like a big one right at the end. It was pretty nice. Putting on a show for the people there in Paris. All right, 2 more. Which rookie nearly missed the Paris game because he misplaced his passport?
Earth are we going to remember?
A misplaced passport.
You guys are sickos. We cover the NBA day to day. We talked about it.
Let's get a year.
Okay. 2023.
Can we get a nationality? I assume he's American.
He is.
Americans have problems with their passports
But
at times.
I've given you a couple things here. 2023 was the year.
Yes.
He was a rookie in that year. He's an American. And I'll give you this. He's a big man.
A rookie big man in the 2022 draft.
That's right.
Isaiah Stewart.
Oh, you're very close.
Jalen Duren.
Nice.
Jalen Duren. Amazingly, I don't know what happened. Either he found it or they got him another one quickly because he misplaced it. He got there. He played in the game. He had a perfect shooting game from the field. He went 4 for 4, had 11 points, 12 rebounds in 18 minutes off the bench. Like, he had a really good game. So good for him. Jalen Duren, good stuff. All right, final one here. Let's see if you can remember this. Who's the only player to have ever been ejected in the Paris games?
Oh, man.
Happened last year, I'll give you that.
Tristan Thompson.
Do you remember? Okay, bonus question. Who did he get upset by in that game to get ejected? Because he went and bumped him and he fell to the floor, this guy.
Nick Claxton?
Well done.
We watched it together.
Yeah.
We watched it together.
Yeah,
Tristan
last
Thompson got so mad. He was pulling out his barrel chest. He was really mad.
It was weird. Claxton, he dunked near him, I'll say. It wasn't really even on Tristan Thompson. He said something to him.
Sure.
He talked a little shit. And then as timeouts were called and they were all going back to their benches, Tristan Thompson just straight bumped him with his shoulder. I don't know if Claxton sold it a little bit, but he fell over. And then we had a little clearing of at least the assistant coaches and players out there.
I remember it leaked what Claxton said to him. You're what the French call les incompetents.
Okay, I got a bonus question.
What, you didn't watch Home Alone over the holidays?
No. Although Danielle and I were driving past you, and Trey, were driving with your fingerless gloves.
Yeah,
and she said, "Oh, this is like Home Alone."
Oh yeah, the Wet Bandits.
Yeah.
It's a little depressing how many times I was told in December that I look like Marv from Home Alone. But I did set a calendar reminder, October 1st, be Marv for Halloween.
Oh, you gave yourself a month to get ready?
I want to forget.
Cool. Okay, you guys did so well there. I'm really impressed by that. I have a bonus question, okay? After next week's games, we might, now the key word is might, have a total of 4 French players to have played in the NBA Paris games.
Okay.
Keyword there is might, so I'm obviously projecting with the Spurs-Pacers game. Can you name all 4 players potentially after those 2 games to be French to play in Paris? You've done a really well
After
job.
these games.
After these games.
Wemby.
Victor Wembanyama, correct.
Killian Hayes.
Correct. I thought you were going to struggle to get that one. That was a quick pull by you early. Born in the U.S. to American father, French mother though, but he reps France internationally. Yep.
Batum.
There you go. This is the tricky part. Might play.
There's some.
Yes.
It's deep in the Spurs rotation.
Yes. He is French and he's on the Spurs roster. He plays. I mean, it's very likely he'll get in.
Not Mamu.
Not Mamu.
Not Sohan.
Not Sohan. He's from England, isn't he?
Zach Collins.
No. Everybody forgets this other French guy on the Spurs.
Yeah.
He's got a unique.
Retired.
He's got a unique.
Tony Parker retired.
He's got a unique name.
Yeah. That you don't think of as French, right? Or...
I think you do.
Oh.
Once you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ryan Rupert. He's a
Blazers.
trailblazer.
Yeah. Maybe the chat is the chat helping you out. I don't
I'm
know.
not looking, man.
Okay.
I'm not looking.
I forget.
I'll give you his
Charles Basset.
his initials are S and C.
Scott Calvin.
No.
Santa Claus.
No.
SC?
Yeah.
Stefan Castle? No. Nope.
No, it's not coming to me.
Wow.
I definitely know who he is.
Okay.
This is a
I mean,
deep
if you
cut.
say his name in a funny way, it's almost like the guy that sang the thong song, I guess.
What?
Cisco?
CD Sissoko.
Oh, CD Sissoko.
Great one.
I'm wearing a College Park Skyhawks game. This guy played in the G League last year.
There you go.
For the G League Ignite.
There
right?
you go. He'll get in. He'll get in.
Great
He's over
call.
there. You know they're going to put him in there for the crowd at some point. So, yeah, those would be the four guys.
Oh,
if they both play.
I can't believe I forgot that.
Yeah, I thought you'd get that one.
Because I remember CD Sissoko when it's his name.
Sissoko. I think it's
Sissoko.
Sissoko, yeah. But it's a tough one, yeah.
Was it? It was a pregame introductions when Jeremy Sohan farted, right? Or was it a member of the San Antonio Spurs farted?
Oh, yeah.
Was it Sohan or nobody knew? Nobody
Who
knew.
was that?
Everybody was like,
We'll have to
"Oh,
look it
somebody farted."
Yeah.
And CD was getting a little smelly. He didn't like the smell. That's all I gotta say. I
think,
remember him from that.
Do you think CD said, who planted that fart?
Plant.
JD laughs from the other side of the room. Come on, that's a Mellis. That's a Mellis line. Yeah, that's good.
That's
man.
good. There's a question here that you, I'm sure, would know after doing all this research.
Maybe.
Gustavo Vega asked in that first game, the 2020 Paris game.
Yeah.
Did Rudy Gobert get sick? There was a game where Rudy Gobert got sick.
Why
apparently.
would Rudy Gobert be playing for the Bucks or Hornets?
Yeah, he shouldn't be.
Remember that trade?
Those are the only, and you got to remember there have been a lot of preseason like Paris games for sure. But
maybe that's the
I'm sort of
reference.
shocked that this is only going to be our fourth time regular season games being played there, and first time ever that they're going to do the old back-to-back there in Paris too, where both teams are going to play two games, which is smart. You're going to go all that way. You might as well do that, especially when you got Wembanyama. One of the trivia questions was going to be, it was during the that Bulls Pistons year. Who was the biggest celebrity at the Bulls-Pistons game in Paris?
Neymar?
No. Well, no. The joke was Wembanyama.
Oh.
Because that was like the big deal. He was there and everybody was going crazy. Oh, the 19-year-old
Wait,
kid's here.
so you're telling me it's Spurs Pacers twice?
Yes.
Yeah.
Pacers fans don't get to see Wembanyama play in Indiana?
Guess
Oh,
not.
guess not.
Sad for them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Now, both of them will have a home game, which I found out too. Like, when it's your home game over there, they do fly out your entire, like, operational team.
Okay.
So, will they fly out both
Sounds like a party.
operational teams? They probably will. It's going to be a party, JD. You're going to be partying with the guy who runs the clock for the Indiana Pacers. And you know he's going to know when it's last call, for sure. JD, yeah, you're right. Okay, pick 'em. Tonight, Tass, where are we going? I know where we're going. We got a beautiful rematch tonight.
It's the two best teams in the National Basketball Association. Cleveland going to OKC. OKC favored by 2.5. Cleveland winning last week, so I assumed everybody's taking OKC. How can you bet against OKC?
Hell yeah.
But Isaiah Hartenstein injured his calf, so he will not be playing. So there's two of us that are taking Cleveland, comfortable with 2 extra points or winning this game, because OKC has to win by 3. Ash and I are taking Cleveland. You guys got OKC. Understandable. They're going to be teeny tiny against that biggie team without Hartenstein and Chet. Obviously.
And Mobley and Jared Allen like cooked in the first game. So yeah, if they do that and they hit corner threes, then they're going to win again. But I'm thinking that OKC home crowd, and we're going to see a better performance from the Thunder, especially from the jump here. So that's why I'm taking OKC, but I'm 1-8 in this month. So one of the worst records of all time, I think, when we've been following pick'ems.
Respect.
So that's how bad it's been for me. But I just hope it can at least try to live up to what we got in the last game between these two teams, that people were saying game of the year. We had like 30 was it 30 lead changes? I think it was.
Yeah, 8 ties.
Instant classic and potential NBA Finals preview, right? All that stuff. I just hope we get another game like that tonight.
Yeah, we shall see. I was actually trying to be a good guy here because Tass and Ash Hampton first. They picked Cleveland. I said, ooh, I want to take Cleveland because I know there's no Hartenstein, but I didn't want to force Skeets to have to take OKC. So I'm like, whatever, I'll roll with OKC. We'll see how it goes.
I'm actually,
believe you.
I know I'm 1-8. I'm guaranteeing OKC wins this game tonight.
Okay.
I feel very confident.
Hopefully by 3 or more.
Didn't love to see the Hartenstein news, of course. Yeah, that's but that's okay. Dagnall will go small, baby. Big Isaiah Joe game tonight.
Big Isaiah Joe game tonight. All right.
Yep, calling it.
Where'd you come from?
Where did you go? All right, let's call it there. JD, kudos to you, man. Guy was flying the plane blind. And he landed it, I believe, perfectly. Hit the like button.
I haven't landed yet. We're coming in now.
What do you got to do? You got to hit a clipper, bros, and then put up a board. That's it.
That's true.
You've nailed it. I'm giving you props, man.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that.
And you were laughing at all my good jokes.
Wow. There was less. I was more locked in, so I heard all the cool puns.
Oh, yeah. You're never usually listening to us.
Yeah. Usually I'm looking at all of my instruments, which I don't have. Or I'm looking out the window.
Well, anyway, that's why we call you the super producer, man. Only this guy can do it live without any of his equipment. It's incredible. Wait till you see what this guy can do in Paris, man. We're going to have an entire studio show with one camera. Anyway, thanks for joining us. Hit the like button, subscribe. Podcast listeners, 5-star ratings and review. And we will see you tomorrow for the Drop Podcast. We're doing mid-season awards. Worst of the week, rapid fire. Going to be a good one here. Hopefully we get the switcher working. Fingers crossed. Till then, Clipper Bros.
You heard it here first. Have a great time. Turn up. Love you guys. Awesome.
Thanks for joining us. And remember, early in the season, the Spurs had an incident where it appeared somebody farted and the entire team and coaching staff didn't know where it came from. So, if you don't get a great interview in Indiana, you can ask the Spurs coaches, hey, did somebody fart in that early game, early in the season, that caused CD Sissoko to wave his hand in front of his face and Chris Paul to be like, who's doing that? Who did that? It was probably Jeremy Sohan. Remember, he was kind of flaunting. He was proud of whatever was going on. Anyways, that's going to be the biggest story in France.
Hey, during the Summer of Champions, which was in Paris, we had the poop report. So it's just an extension of that, really. We got the fart report. Fart files. Fart files, that's right. I should get a detective hat. All right, brace the day, people.